Welcome to a new season of the Cherry Pickin podcast. And with a new season comes a new host. Yes, Drew Boyer and Jeremy Roach unfortunately have left us, but I'm here to take the reins. Also, have to give a shout out to Gianni and Cole. Also won't be here this season, but we've got some familiar faces on here for the first episode of the new season. I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm super excited for hockey to start.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get back. It feels like it's been forever. Usually when the season ends, I'm a Leafs fan, so I kind of don't pay attention to hockey at all over the summer because I'm so frustrated. But I don't know, with Matt Murray between the pipes, I'm a little jazzed up.
You're jazzed up for Matt Murray this year. Interesting.
I'm faking it. Fake it till you make it, right?
T-Mac, what about you? Excited for your Pens this year or what?
Yeah, you know what? People ask me this all the time throughout the offseason when they're talking Pens is, what do you want them to do? And all I cared about was let's just have Crosby, Malkin, and Letang end their careers as Penguins for the entire way. I don't care if this team's not going to make any sort of playoff push with these guys. They're not going to make a cup run. They're going to be terrible in a few years, but I can live with that because I want to see those guys end their careers as Penguins.
Do you think if Malkin and Letang would have left, Crosby would have stayed regardless, or?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to say, I guess, but I think he would. Like, unless he wanted to go play with McKinnon, Colorado, or something like a lot of people are buzzing about. I don't really see him being that interested in playing elsewhere. He's won a bunch of cups. I was surprised they made it work with Malkin. Things were spiraling out of control. Yeah. But Ron Hextall plays a good game. Got the guys to take some friendly deals.
He's the GOAT.
Plays some
He's
hard
the
ball.
GOAT.
Yeah, he played I can't imagine Crosby in any other jersey though. Like,
yeah, I know.
Who would you compare that to in like another sport maybe?
It'd be like Kershaw wearing a different jersey.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good one for sure.
It was like Tom Brady wearing a Bucs
Brady,
jersey.
That's the one for sure.
Yeah, even watching Russ in a Broncos jersey was a little weird the other night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Jordan on the fucking Wizards. Same thing.
That's actually probably
the better one. Yeah. But did he come back? Oh, he came back and played for the Bulls and then went to the Wizards, or did he just went straight to the Wizards?
No, he was
retired a few times.
Yeah.
Well, one was forced because he was gambling out.
What an idiot.
Out of control.
Speaking of gambling, this show this year, the podcast this year, is obviously going to be fantasy sports. It's going to be one of the main focuses, but sports betting as well. I'm going to try to get as many guests as possible from all over the industry. I'm trying to get some different opinions in here, and then also the long form content, which is kind of what you're going to be seeing here today. So let's just get right into it, guys. It was a pretty exciting, honestly, offseason. A little bit more exciting than personally I anticipated it was going to be. You know, there's a bunch of different signings, a lot of like big trades and moves that really just changed up the whole scenery of the NHL in my opinion. So T-Mac, I want to go to you first. What was your biggest
I should not
off-season?
start.
You don't want to start?
I should not start because mine is I just want to be a little funny.
Okay, you know what? We'll go down the ladder then.
So
we'll go down the ladder. Gav, what's yours?
Honestly, I got to go with the Calgary Flames. I feel like they turned Gaudreau and Tkachuk into something, possibly even having a better team this year. That was really surprising to me because after that series loss to the Oilers, I thought they were kind of done for. I heard rumors of Tkachuk wanting out already at that point, and then the uncertainty about Gaudreau there. It's pretty crazy that they turned those two into Kadri, Weegar, and Huberdeau. I don't know if I love that deal for Kadri at 7 years, but they are a big surprise. I think they're going to be the team to beat in the Pacific this year, and I think things are looking good in Calgary.
Yeah, honestly, like, for what happened, like losing Gaudreau and Tkachuk, a lot of people might think like this team's much worse this year. I actually think this team's better. Adding Kadri gives you a little bit more character. Huberdeau is a little bit more.
Tkachuk was a character guy.
Yeah, but Tkachuk
sandpaper.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tkachuk maybe adds a little bit more of the offense side. Kadri hopefully will get into people.
He's sandpaper too again, so it's hard to say. Tkachuk, obviously it hurts a lot to lose that piece. Young player. There's not many players like that in the league. You see that with what they had to give up to get him, Florida in that sense. That's so valuable, but I think Kadri will bring some of that to the locker room, and I think they're in a better spot.
Yeah.
Here's what weirds me out is that I would assume they would have had a conversation with Huberdeau because his contract was obviously going to be expiring. It wasn't expired then, but that guy he had to have wanted out or given some sort of indication of wanting out of Florida because the fact that you trade a guy like that who plays up the middle for a guy like Tkachuk, I know is obviously younger, but on the wing was surprising. I just don't know how you give up a center, a guy like that who had such a good year that quick.
Led the league in assists for sure.
Huberdeau's a winger.
Well, he'd been playing he kind of been playing both, I guess, most of last year.
Yeah, and he had a bunch of
Barkov, like he was playing with Barkov, but he can play the middle. And that's what I would assume that the Flames would want, because they've always, like, they brought Lindholm in, who's helped them a ton, but they've always been a team that, like, up the middle has been kind of ugly. Like, Backlund had at times before Lindholm showed up, they were playing Backlund as the 1C. I'm trying to think of some other.
Yeah, who's their 2C now? Bennett or Reinhart?
No, Bennett's with Florida. So
no,
he's talking about Florida.
Oh, Florida. Sorry.
Florida. They're probably running.
Reinhart. For sure. One thing I'm worried about with the Flames, and I think from what I heard, one of the reasons why a lot of these guys weren't willing to stick around, I think at this point was Markstrom's contract. I think they're a little worried about how much they're paying him and how long his term is. Like, he was pretty shit in the playoffs, to be honest.
Dustin Wolf is waiting in the wings.
T-Mac, you've been telling me, man, this guy's coming up and he's going to make a huge appearance this year at some point.
Shout out to one of my buddies, Spencer Walker. He told me about how much this guy was absolutely demolishing the OHL or the WHL. He had like a 950 save percentage.
Yeah, I remember
He's still putting numbers up in the AHL too. So the Markstrom deal doesn't look as good, that's for sure.
So my biggest offseason surprise was, I guess it's not even that much of a surprise at this point if you actually look into Vegas' team, but Max Pacioretty going to Carolina for essentially nothing. And it was nothing. They gave future considerations, and the reason being Vegas' salary cap situation is absolutely torqued. They're still, even with Pacioretty off of their roster, still right now $10 million over the cap. So I have no idea how they're going to field the team come the beginning of October and when the regular season starts. And then Pacioretty going over to Carolina, I think, in my opinion, they're the number one contender for the Cup this year, apart from like Colorado, let's say. They're like 11-1 to win the Cup this year at like various different sports books, with now adding Brent Burns as well. Rob Brind'Amour, God, if there's one guy I would strap on my boots and go play for, it'd be fucking Rob Brind'Amour. That guy seems like an awesome coach. So I think he's a very similar coaching style to Jared Bednar on the Avalanche. But yeah, that was wild to me when that deal went down. I think Pacioretty will be great in there. He's still dealing with some injuries, but I think should be ready for mid-October.
If you're a fan of an expansion team, are you fine the way the Golden Knights did it? Because we look at the expansion draft from last year for the Kraken, it's like you guys had so many opportunities to be a good team, and they just chose to be shit pretty much. But they're not going to be skull-fucked by the cap for a while now. They're going to have young pieces.
I think the biggest thing that the biggest mistake this team made was the Pietrangelo deal. I think that put them over the top in terms of like, you had the money at the time, but this is like resulted in you dealing everyone away.
Yeah,
that was an unnecessary.
They've had some massive contracts in the short time period that they've been in the NHL for. Pietrangelo being one of them, Mark Stone, another one who's obviously a good acquisition, but he's had injuries.
And you forget they have fucking Eichel too.
Yeah, and now Jack Eichel too.
I guess it wasn't like Pietrangelo.
They pushed so hard so early to try to get this team as a Cup contender, and credit to them, they made it to the Cup final their first year.
They filled their barn too every night, pretty much. So
and
it's really a loss.
It's awesome to see actually like an expansion team like that do so well in a market like Vegas. I wonder how it would have gone if they started off their season like Seattle did, or their career like Seattle did, if they would have been as much hype. But
I think
the whole
being the first pro team in the city definitely gave them a leg up in terms of how they can start. Whether or not
what about the Aces?
You forget about the Aces and the 51s.
The 51s. Yeah, whole minor league baseball too.
But no, for sure with Seattle, it's like start of the season. It's like you had to tune in right away, and then you watch the first game. It's like, this team's shit. Like, why am I going to spend my 10 o'clock time? Because obviously on the East Coast, you don't watch much West Coast hockey. It's like, I'm not going to spend my time on the Seattle Kraken this season. It's like, I'll watch them play the Leafs. That's about it. And other than that, they're just not going to be a threat to anyone.
And I'll be honest, I kind of ate the cheese with how well Vegas did. I bet multiple times Seattle over their win total and over their regular season points before the season started. I had high hopes. I thought this team was going to be like a defensive juggernaut, especially with Grubauer. But I was clearly wrong. None of that this year, guys. None of that this year.
Yeah. I mean, they have like, it's the class of the forward group is like Jared McCann, Jordan Eberle.
And now they've got some young guys coming up that we will get into a little bit later. But Ave, what was your biggest offseason surprise? Something that really shook your boots?
It was Gaudreau going to the Blue Jackets. It made literally no sense.
It still doesn't make any sense.
To pretty much anyone. I get New Jersey makes more sense. That was the other place he was thinking about going to. They're way ahead of Columbus at this point. Right?
Look, this is the deal. The guy wanted to get his money, play some hockey, He didn't have. He has no ambitions to win a Stanley Cup.
Sure, but
he just wanted to get paid, do his job.
But you can do
retire.
that. You can also do that in New Jersey. It's not.
They're a little bit more of a hockey.
No,
But
market.
the one thing, right, is he wanted to go closer to home. He's from New Jersey.
He's not home.
Yeah.
He's not home.
And he's in Ohio now.
He said, I remember the Players Tribune thing when was the Players Tribune article or
Yeah.
someone else? He's basically like, I want to be close to home, but I don't want it. This is like a happy medium for me. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be that
I
close.
think it really just
maybe.
came down to the money.
not wanting to be in
But
Canada.
he took
less.
Yeah, he took less.
He took less.
That's
Columbus
the thing that's
offered him
crazy.
more money, and then later in the day offered him less, and he took it.
Yeah, and I think he was even talking
Art of the deal.
on Spit and Chicklets. Yeah, seriously, on Spit and Chicklets, like how even after rejecting the New Jersey deal, he was like looking back at Calgary to maybe work on like a 7-year deal instead of like 8 or whatever it was, or 6 or whatever it was. But
Fire
it's
his
just
agent,
Oh man, there's a lot of
he did what he
agents that
wanted.
should get fired every offseason in every sport.
Yeah.
But I agree. The Gaudreau thing was a little wild, but we talked about it. The Flames are looking good going in this year in Columbus. I would say they're not. They have some good lower.
They lost
lower tier
Bjorkstrand
talent,
too, right?
Yeah, they lost Oliver Bjorkstrand. They still have Laine and Gaudreau, obviously, which is awesome. But other than that, like Zach Werenski, I wonder how this team will do because last year they were over Central for all of their games.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this year. I wonder if it'll be the same kind of scheme we'll see on the ice. Who knows? Okay, Tyler,
let's have
hear
a little
the
fun
funny.
here.
Let's hear the funny one. It's better be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
How much money do you think Eric Branson has made and is on pace to make in his career?
Like 70 million?
50 million.
What do you think, Ryan?
60 million.
It's not like absurd, but
I'm gonna say like 35 to 40 million.
$45 million. Do you know how many teams Eric Branson has played for?
5.
More.
Really?
He's played. This is his 8th team. I'm
been-
pretty
I mean,
sure.
he's almost played for
Career
all the
path. That would have been a
Canadian.
great career path. I never would have gotten that.
Career path. If you want to hear
What
it
is it? Canucks,
Yeah,
Sens.
see how many you guys can guess. You got Canucks, Sens.
Panthers,
Yep. 3.
Flames.
Flames. Yep.
No, I want to say he played for the Ducks, but I don't think he played for the Ducks.
Did he play for the Ducks? Or is that wrong?
The Ducks. Yeah, he played for the Ducks.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's just take away the New Deal. Columbus.
Right, Columbus.
4x4, man. This guy got 16 million for 4 years to keep playing hockey. I'm pretty sure he's been bought out in his career, right? I'm pretty sure the Canucks bought him out.
How did he get? How did he leave Vancouver? What happened there? Like, was it?
He went.
Well,
Vancouver.
he was just in Calgary, right?
So he went Vancouver to Pittsburgh.
Well,
Right.
Pittsburgh.
In,
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh gave
God,
him
I
an
never
atrocious deal
would've guessed
too,
that.
right?
Yeah.
They dealt him quickly. I don't think they gave him much money.
Okay.
I don't think they gave him much money. I'm pretty sure Vancouver gave him money, is what it was. But honestly, credit to this guy. He's slow as shit. I don't think he's any good. And somehow another team gave him 4
You know what
years.
he's good at? Fucking
Team guy,
playing.
fighting people.
No, playing golf. I play golf with him at
Yeah, have you really?
Owen Sound. What's that course called?
Is he from around here?
No idea.
I know he's
He's
Canadian. I don't know
Canadian.
where
I
he's
don't know
from.
if he's
what's
from
that?
Ontario or not.
It's one of the nicer courses out there. I think I played it in high school one time. I don't know.
I forget what it's called. It's one of the nice ones I played with my buddy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Eric," and my buddy's dad played with us, and he's like, "What do you do?" He's like, I play hockey." He's like, "Where do you play hockey?" In Ottawa. He's like, "Oh, for the Sens." He's like, "Yeah, it's just Eric Branson."
Oh my God, that's
he's a
hilarious.
stick. He just played with my buddy, his dad.
That's awesome.
Undoubtedly, the guy. He has to be a great guy. He has to be.
Awesome
Was
guy.
he crushing beers?
Yes, he
Doing
was.
beers?
He was doing
big
beers, and he
dog.
shot
He's a big
71.
Yeah, he's big. He's like 6'6", right? Or
Yeah,
6'5"?
massive
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
Just honestly, there's a lot of things that shocked me, but I just can't believe this
No,
guy
that
is
is
still getting it done.
that's a good one, and
That's a lot of money for Columbus to give out on that. That was on the first.
They're shelling
right?
out, man. They're shelling out.
I just feel like I've said this to Ryan on every Lines at Lunch or every Twitch stream we've done is that I think the cap's got to be going up like 10 million.
It has to
soon.
go up at this point with how much these teams are spending, how much these players are getting in terms of average deals. Like we talked about St. Louis's deals, like Robert Thomas getting fucking $8 million a year is mind-boggling.
I know.
That is, I think that's insane.
Well, quick little segue in that
Kushkin's
too.
8
Then,
mil.
like, there's rumor that ads are going to be on jerseys now. How do you guys feel about that?
Oh, they're on them already. I've seen.
I couldn't
Yeah,
care
I mean,
less.
man, every
They're not going to be
sport
like
is
crazy
kinda
prominent. I don't think.
doing them.
They're
Like
small.
last year they had them on the helmets, right? That's when they started
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
helmets.
TikTok
Leafs
on
had
the Leafs
TikToks.
helmets.
Yeah.
thing.
Do you know? So my buddy works for the Leafs, and one of their parts of their deals was TikTok was going to boost them in the algorithm.
Come on.
For their TikToks, and they were mad because they don't think it was happening.
That's such a bullshit clause, I feel like.
Yeah, I've seen them on the contract
before.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think you're really doing that. It's like, yeah, we're pushing you guys. You can tell.
Your shit just sucks.
How are you supposed to show that?
We can only push it so much.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, next segment of this show. Guys, everyone wants to talk about, obviously, who's their favorite team to watch. I want to know who's your least exciting team to watch this year, because there are some shit bum teams, there's some poverty teams. Obviously, so there's some obvious ones that come to mind, but Avery, who is your least exciting?
Okay, so there's two obvious ones I think everyone's going to have, so I'll go with a third one. I think the San Jose Sharks.
Oh, fuck, that was mine.
So, there we go. Destroyed the shell.
Well, sorry. What are the two obvious ones?
No, it's okay. Go with the Sharks.
I thought San Jose was really obvious.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say the Flyers and the Coyotes.
Okay.
The other shit ones.
Yeah.
There's Thomas Hertl.
You know what? Logan Couture, it just screams to me a guy that would love to go play somewhere else.
Yeah, he is the most Canadian guy ever, I think.
Yeah. He's like, I'll stick around.
What is there to like about the Sharks this season?
Can anyone guess who's in net for the Sharks this year?
Is it
goalie tandem?
Is it Jones still?
No, Martin Jones is in Philly now.
I was looking at it.
Oh my God, who was the goalie last year?
Vesatoskla?
Wasn't Reimer there?
James Reimer.
James Reimer, right?
He's still there.
Reimer,
the other one.
And
It's a new
Devin
one.
Dubnyk?
Scott
He
Wedgwood
was there last year, I think. It is Capo Kakkonen.
Oh, right.
Right.
He was horrible last year, too. So that's interesting. Yeah, the Sharks are going to be absolutely poor, this team.
Yeah,
Probably
Carlson's still around.
Want
to talk about stealing money?
Yeah, seriously. I actually know a Sharks season ticket holder, and he's like near the end of last season. Apparently, COVID really fucked them, obviously, because I think they're kind of good still before COVID, but then after, like, the season ticket percentages went way down. No one's going to the games this year. I feel like it probably will be the exact same environment in there this year.
And again, for me, it's Pacific Hockey. I'm not going to watch them play ever, so it's almost good. Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, they've been in that phase forever where it's like they don't know if they're rebuilding or not. Like, they keep adding guys. Like, they gave those contracts out to Carlson and stuff when they were still kind of a bubble team. I know they made a decent playoff run. They lost the
lose in the Cup
final.
Yeah.
Pens.
Yeah, that in 2017.
17, yeah.
But after that, though, still, like, they're just a purgatory team forever. And, like, I can't even think of a top prospect on their team right now.
They're very far away,
Yeah, John Leonard is one guy that comes to mind. He had an okay season last year, but other than that, they don't have a lot of prospects in the hopper, as some might say.
Speaking of team, like, the other one that I would think of is, like, not that. I shouldn't say they're not going to be that fun to watch, because I think they'll still be competitive, but I just couldn't believe that the Islanders were like, we want Gaudreau and that's it, because then they did nothing else in the offseason. Like, they just dealt their 13th overall pick for Romanoff, and that was it. That was the entire offseason for them.
Yeah.
They're a team that's not very exciting to watch. I guess with what's his face out, the big roly-poly behind the bench. With Trotz behind the bench, maybe that'll change, but I thought they would be trying to make a commitment to trying to win, because they have a lot of good depth and a lot of, like, good talent, but their last year was obviously with COVID kind of killed them, but I was surprised they're not trying to make a bigger push.
Yeah, their new rink last year really fucked them, because they started the season off with like 20 straight road games, which is which
and
is brutal.
COVID, and then COVID too, because they were so behind the entire season.
So last year, like, things just really didn't go their way. Like T-Mac kind of said, their lineup really didn't switch all that much. I think losing Barry Trotz is huge, like, terrible for them. He's an awesome coach. We've seen him, like, led the Capitals to he's awesome in the playoffs too. Led the Capitals to a cup final, obviously. I agree with that. That's a good point. And out of the two New York teams too, they're bottom feeding for sure.
Well, out of the three teams there too, with fucking New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey now too. New Jersey is probably going to eclipse them a little bit as well.
I was thinking about William Eklund as the Sharks prospect that Drew loved last year, and then didn't make the team out of camp. No, that's not a slight to Drew.
I don't know, man. It sounded like a slight.
No, they have a good prospect, and then, like, they drafted Wislat last year, and then they have fucking Thomas Bordelot.
Bordelot. Yeah, Thomas Bordelot.
One of their other guys.
He might be a viable option, I guess, this year. Maybe in terms of fantasy hockey sleepers, because there's no one else other than Couture and Hertl to be able to score. Hertl shots on net, that shit was free last year too.
Just firing away.
T-Mac, Gav, that's your name. What team do you not want to watch? You'd rather turn off the TV and throw it outside?
I was going to say the Sharks, but just from this past playoffs alone, the Dallas Stars
honestly,
Dallas Stars
I
are by far the worst hockey team to watch. The pace of play is so slow. Yes, Jason Robertson's exciting, but other than that, I couldn't imagine turning on the TV every night and watching that. Like, I need to see some goals scored. I'm betting overs. I cannot watch the Dallas Stars.
New head coach this year too with Peter DeBoer. I wonder how he'll take over that team. But yeah, super defensive team. Like Audie last year in the playoffs was absolutely cracked out. It was the only reason why they kind of made it a series with the Flames in the first round. Apart from that, they had no business being in the playoffs.
They got to be a pretty old team at this point too, right?
Yeah, dude, their top players are Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, and Alexander Radulov.
Fucking Pavelski,
Pavelski, bro.
Yeah, Pavelski too. Robertson for sure.
I mean, Rupe Hintz is good.
Rupe Hintz as well for sure.
And Robertson.
I do love Rupe.
Is Klingberg still there? Nothing has happened,
John Klingberg's still
it's
there.
like they have some talent. It's just the way their systems are.
Heiskanen too. I don't get it. Yeah, I wonder how DeBoer's going to shake it up this year.
Ben and Sagan are like nowhere near the players they once were.
Yeah.
Like you have names kind of.
Do you guys remember that season where Jamie Benn led the league in points with like 89?
Yeah, he won the Hart Trophy.
Yeah. That's fucked.
That is one of the biggest things people forget.
That was 2014-15.
He won the Hart Trophy, or did
that would be good?
Was that the year Hall? Wasn't that the year Hall won the Hart Trophy, or no?
No, Hall won the Hart Trophy in like 20. He on the Devils.
Yeah, he was on the Devils. Yeah,
I think that
he was
like
also.
2016.
I think he led the league with like 94 points, or he had 93 points.
That was the year after, I think.
Okay, and
you want to talk trivia questions, Dave? That's who led the league. Who led the league in scoring?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But we all have the answer now, so we can't do it.
I guess can't do it.
I'll check you guys in a month or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so my team that I can't watch this year, Ave kind of mentioned it, but the Philadelphia Flyers for a couple reasons. One, Tortorella's there now, the new head coach. He's already started to motherfuck them in the offseason. Training camps hasn't even started yet. He's saying that there's already a problem in the room. It's divided. And then he also hasn't named a captain yet, and he's like, I'm in no rush to name a captain, which is fine. Usually I would think that's okay, but I feel like there's some sort of meaning behind that Tortorella is talking about, where he's just really just not impressed with any of these guys. And then they did pick up Tony DeAngelo. He's from Philly. He is also one of the worst human beings to play in the NHL. He's had problems ever since he's even been in the OHL too.
He's a good fantasy player.
Yeah, good fantasy player, but horrible dude. They were really bad last year. Like, they caught tailwind of just a shit season. Carter Hart really hasn't panned out to the goalie everyone thought he was going to be. They still have some good pieces. Like, obviously, Claude Giroux moved over to Ottawa. That was a big move. They still have Kevin Hayes, Ivan Provorov, Travis Konechny. Joel Farabee was a guy that kind of broke out a little bit last year, but still, this is a team that I'm not going to be watching. And in their really hard Metro division, I just don't see them really succeeding.
For a team that needs to be inspired to play with this roster, Torch is not going to inspire them to play the right way.
He needs to just stop coaching. He was on air for a while, and I thought he was fine. His opinions were funny. He's just not built to be a coach anymore. In this day and age, with how hockey is transitioning as well, he's like the last guy you should have in your locker room leading a bunch.
My thing would be, at least Torts gives me the systems that he can make a team that's less talented play well beyond their expectation. Where a guy like DeBoer, if there's anyone to me, DeBoer is the type of guy who I don't really have if I think of Peter DeBoer, I don't think of a specific style of hockey, and he just keeps getting a fucking job. Yeah. He keeps getting jobs. His Sharks team never could get over the hump. Comes into Vegas, they underperformed. Now where is he now? You just mentioned where he was?
Columbus?
No, Dallas.
Dallas. He's not going to do anything with that roster. That's a guy I think that should no longer be coaching. I get the Torts thing for sure in terms of his culture, and the fit there is weird. The other thing that was weird is they didn't make a push for Gaudreau and then signed Tony DeAngelo.
I thought they did make a push for Gaudreau.
I think people made the push for them, because they said they didn't have the cap space, and then they signed DeAngelo.
Yeah, in an interview, I think Gaudreau said that the Flyers actually didn't reach out to him at all. So I guess Chuck Fletcher was just sitting on his phone and forgot to call him. But
called Tony instead.
Owen Tippett's a Flyer, right?
Huh?
Owen Tippett's a Flyer.
Owen Tippett could be a Flyer, moving over from Florida, and what? Oh, Giroux. I guess the Giroux deal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it for these kind of teams. Let's get into a little bit of fantasy hockey talk before we end off the show here, going into some breakout players. So obviously there's the guys at the top of the list, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. You guys don't need any advice on that. But guys who maybe were just on the bubble last year of breaking out, and this year in their current situation, or even just an elevated offseason, they could be having a really good year. Who wants to start?
I'll go first, and risk of not having preparation for any other players if this guy gets taken. So my breakout player this year is Alex Newhook. I think he's in a really great spot this year with Kadri being gone. Right
Fair
now,
enough.
the centers are McKinnon and JT Comfort.
Yeah.
Right. So last year, Newhook had 33 points in 71 games on a hybrid kind of third line, fourth line role. I think there's a big opportunity for him here to step up. And with that offense, the power play time he could get, I think he's a really good spot to break out this year.
Nice. I like that. I really like that. Yeah, Newhook was a pretty solid performer in the playoffs as well for Avs when the Avs won the Cup. Especially when Kadri was out, he stepped up in that center role along with JT Compher and put up some solid points and played his role. So I think this year I agree with Kadri being gone. Bednar is going to expect a little bit more from him, and I think he'll be able to deliver. He's a top 5 pick, right? So I think he was third. Or maybe not.
Yeah, I think around like in between 4 to 7.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah,
he was in the same draft with Zegras and stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good pick. The guy I'm going with is Andrew Kopp. So Andrew Kopp actually obviously went from Winnipeg last year to New York. New York's offense we saw last year was super lackadaisical. They just weren't very efficient. When he was on the ice in 5-on-5, their expected goal rate shot went way higher. So this is a guy who moved over to Detroit in the offseason. And I really like what Steve Yzerman's building over in Detroit. I think Detroit's a sleeper team to come out of the East and make the playoffs this year. I think they'll make a really good push. And I think off the back of Kopp's pretty solid season last year and what numbers he produced in New York despite how bad their offense kind of was at the tail end of the season, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. Because in terms of centers, other than Dylan Larkin, like all their talent is kind of on the wings with Lucas Raymond and even Moritz Seider obviously on D. I think Kopp will get the volume for sure to be a producer in fantasy week in and week out. And yeah, like I said, I really like what Yzerman's building over there. He's an offensive-minded coach or GM, and when he was on Detroit, that was what they built off of. You know, they had that one stout defenseman and Lindstrom, and then they had all these skill guys. So I think Kopp will be able to fit in nicely here.
Yeah, they made a lot of additions in the offseason. Added Perron too.
Yeah, David Perron.
Net.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, for sure. I think they're set up pretty well.
Yeah,
Dave?
Nedeljkovic wasn't doing it for me in fantasy last year, unfortunately. Maddie Veneers, I think, on the Kraken. He is going to be the first line center. He was 9 points in 10 games last season. He played college hockey for Michigan. He played in the Olympics, and then he just came and played in the NHL and was fucking sick in his 10 games. Opportunity cost right here. You're not going to get him for a lot. His ADP isn't going to be super high, and he's going to get PP1 time. He is going to be the fucking center. Yeah. He's going to be taking draws in the offensive zone all the time, starting his shifts there. It's just easy for a guy you can get for not a high cost, and someone who could definitely break out in a ton of talent. He was second overall pick in the draft. And
that Michigan class is top notch. Yeah, that team. Imagine playing against that team in college.
Owen Power, Ken Johnson.
I don't think they went that far. And
no, they didn't even win it.
No,
they lost to Western
Michigan.
No, they lost to Minnesota.
Okay. Did they make it to the Frozen Four?
No, I don't think so.
That makes sense. Interesting. Young.
I like that. Veneers had a really good end of the season last year for the Kraken. Their offense started to kind of ramp up a little bit, and him along with other guys like Daniel Sprong and stuff were really guys who
Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand are going to be his line mates. They think to start the season.
I like that too. That's
decent.
good. You have some guys who
it's not like Eberle and shit. Right?
Yeah, he'll get a lot of residual points off that. Bjorkstrand I think he was close to leading Columbus in points last year, or that might have been the year before. I can't remember now, but he's a goal scorer. Burakovsky, both of these guys. Burakovsky was awesome in the playoffs as well. So yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's good. T-Mac?
I might need to put my Santa Claus hat on because I'm going into my
bag. You want in your bag?
Yeah, like what the Santa Claus fuck sack right here. People are gonna be like, this guy has stuff he can say about hockey. Cole Sillinger,
dude,
was the 12th overall pick in 2021. I think he had like 16, 17 goals. He played most of the year. I'm pretty sure 16 goals was like 5th for rookies. Do I think that Jack Roslovic will be the 1C with Gaudreau and Laine? Potentially, but I think there's upside with Sillinger in the potential that he could center a line between either Gaudreau or Laine or both of them. So worth a flyer, but definitely like deep in the bag.
Hot girlfriend too. You know who his girlfriend is?
No.
Any of you guys?
No. Oh no, isn't it a TikToker or something?
No, it's a new artist. Tate McRae.
Ooh. She's on the TikTok machine.
No, didn't he
I'm pretty sure. From my sources, that's what I've heard.
No, there was like a story. Like, didn't he make a TikTok or something that was like tag her or something?
Oh,
there was something like that. Like, I think he commented on one of her things. This is like deep in the conspiracy bag. But like he commented on something about tagging her, and then somehow they got connected. So
nice.
Learn something new every day.
Good for him. But yeah, he was like he he was the youngest player in the NHL, I think, last year.
I was surprised I guess Columbus the roster wasn't really there, so.
Yeah, that's a good pick as well. I like all 4 of those picks. Some other names that I kind of just want to run through and get your guys' opinions on. One goalie, Spencer Knight.
Yeah.
So he went pretty high in a lot of fantasy drafts last year. A lot of people thought he would eclipse and take over for Bobrovsky. Mm-hmm. I think that's this year, to be honest. And especially with Paul Maurice coming in as a new coach, it's almost like the slate is set at 0 at this point. Bobrovsky's really, he's super shaky now. He's not as consistent, obviously, as he once was. He's at the tail end of his career. I think Spencer Knight could be a really good option. I don't know if you guys are thinking the same thing.
Tyler's torch system right there, Bobrovsky. Product of it.
There you go. There you go. Good point. Maybe you can turn things around for Carter.
New coach, I guess. Maybe Bobrovsky Bobrovsky isn't his guy. He's on the team that he took over. So maybe there's something like, let's take this guy for the long haul and get Spencer Knight some more minutes between the pipes. But I don't think it's a horrible thing. It is where it's like a fantasy football thing where you hype up a guy for his second year and it doesn't go well and no one thinks about him for the third year.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good point.
And he's still the same talent. And it's like, okay, if you bet on the talent last year, why aren't you betting on the talent the year later when everyone's out on him? So it's one of those opportunities. I think it would be interesting to see when we get on the old mock draft machine to see where he's going.
Where he's going. Yeah, he played a little bit better too, I think, in the playoffs than Bobrovsky did. Both of them didn't play great, but maybe that'll open things up in camp. Are there any other guys that you guys have thought of?
I think Stützle.
Jimmy.
They've been waiting for him to just break out offensively, and he hasn't done it. But
look at his line mates this year going into the season. DeBrincat and fucking Giroux.
Yeah, so centering line 2, he's going to have a lot more opportunity. He got 4 more minutes a game in his second year. That should, in theory, still go up a little bit too. Decent shooting percentage for a guy. I think he was like 10%. It's okay, but more opportunities for him. With better line mates, get him open more. Could be better.
Yeah. Another guy I'm thinking about kind of now, I don't know if, would you consider Jack Hughes in a breakout spot? Because he hasn't really played a full healthy season yet. Yeah. And when he was healthy last year, he was over a point per game, I think. Still finished with 60 points. But do we ever see him hitting that 100-point threshold? Right now, you could probably grab him 3rd or 4th round. I mean, I haven't really looked at the ADPs yet, but that could be a big breakout player this year.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think
his odds to fucking win the MVP must be okay too at this point too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think yes.
Not that I would take.
I think 100-point threshold isn't crazy just because the Devils' defense and goalie situation is horrible. Yeah. It's really bad. So I think he's going to have to score a lot of points. Him and Jesper Bratt, who had a really good year last year too, should be able to kind of move forward in this Devils offense. So yeah, I think Jack Hughes, as long as he can stay on the ice, keep those boots clean, then we'll be good.
I don't know. Yeah. Defensively, they made the addition of the real Johnny Hockey, John Marino.
Got
him in a deal.
John Marino.
They could shore things up.
I know John Marino.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, good guy. Is that it, boys?
Yeah, I'm a one-trick pony. I don't have any.
You're a one-trick pony. We'll keep the honorable mentions to 5 wide, for other ones. That's it for today's podcast. Please subscribe. Come back and watch the show. It's going to be fantasy sports, obviously, or fantasy hockey, obviously, all season long. Like I said, mix in some betting content and get some really good guests on here. I'm really excited for this season and kind of what direction Cherry Pickin is going in. So we'll see you guys next time.